All right, this is day 2 of elimination. So if you look at this problem that I have right now, if we look at our x's and z's, we don't have either one having the same number. The z's do have the opposite signs, but they're not the same number. So what are we going to do? We're going to start thinking multiples because we're going to make that have the same number by manipulating the equations. So if I look at my z's, I have a -3 and a 6. So I need to think about what do I multiply in order to get opposite signs and the same number. Well, they already have opposite signs. So I'm going to multiply to get the same number. 3 times 2 gives me 6. So I'm going to multiply this entire top equation by 2. Remember to multiply every single thing on top by 2 in order to keep the equation the same and just manipulate it instead of changing the equation. So 2 times 9 would be 18x. 2 times -3 is minus 6z. 2 times 20 would be 40. We didn't multiply anything to the second equation, so bring it over exactly how it is. And now notice your z's have the same number, opposite sign. So now we can add the equations together. 18 plus 3 would be 21x. Our z's cancel, they eliminate, equals 42. I'm going to divide by 21 to get x equals 2. Now that we have x, we need to find y. It does not matter which equation you plug it into. I'm going to use the second one just because it has smaller numbers. So I have 3 times 2, because that's my x, plus 6z equals 2. I'm going to solve down for z since I'm down to one equation. So 3 times 2 is 6. Now I need to get the z alone, so I'm going to subtract 6 to each side to get 6z equals -4. I divide by 6 just like normal. And no, that's not a whole number, but that's okay. So z comes out to be, if I divide top and bottom by 2, -2/3. So where these two intersect is at 2, -2/3. If it's not x and y, just go alphabetical. Let's try this one. So we need to get m and n to have the same number, opposite sign. Well, right now, neither one have the same number and neither one have the opposite side. So at that point, you can just choose which one you want to deal with. I'm going to deal with the m just because it's smaller numbers. So I have a +2 and a +1. Remember, if there's no number, it's a 1. So can I make that 1 become a 2? Yes. What times 1 equals 2? 2. Now I also have to change its sign because I need opposite signs. So I'm actually going to multiply by -2. Let's see what happens when we do that. So I'm going to bring the top equation over exactly how it is. And then I'm going to multiply the bottom equation by -2. So -2 times 1 is -2m. -2 times -1 would be +2n. And then -2 times 2, don't forget about that last guy, that's important, equals -4. Now if I look at my m's, I have the same number, opposite sign. So I can go ahead and add my equations together. 2 plus -2 cancels, it's gone. -4 plus 2 is -2n. 4 plus -4 is 0, it's gone. I'm going to divide -2 to get n equals 0. Once I have one of my variables, I do have to solve for the other one. I'm going to choose the equation with smaller numbers from our originals just because it has smaller numbers. So I have m minus, my n is 0, equals 2. Well, this one works out nicely because m minus 0 is m. So m is solved for. So this equation would intersect at 2, 0. Go ahead and take a second and try this one. Did you run into a problem? What happened? If I look at my x's and y's, I cannot make a 3 become a 4, and I can't make a 2 become a 5. So now what do we do? Well, I'm going to go ahead and look at my first one, my x's, because they do have the opposite signs. So I need to think of multiples. What number does 3 and 4 both go into? They have a common multiple of 12. Now, if you struggled to figure that out, come off to the side and you can list your multiples. What does 3 go into? 3, 6, 9, 12, 15. We could keep going. What does 4 go into? 4, 8, 12. Right there. Hey, look. Common multiple. So let's use it. So if I look at this first equation, what do I multiply 3 by to become a 12? 3 times 4. Now look at the second equation. What do I multiply 4 by to become a 12? 4 times 3. So this one I'm multiplying both equations. Now, do I need to change their signs? No, because my x's already have opposite signs. That's what I'm getting to cancel. So on the top equation, go ahead and multiply 4 through. So 4 times 3 is 12x. 4 times 5 would be plus 20y. 4 times 6 would be equals 24. Now multiply through the second one. 3 times negative 4 is negative 12x. 3 times 2 would be plus 6y. And 3 times 5 would be equals 15. So if I look at my x's at this point, they now have the same number, opposite sign. So I can go ahead and add my equations together. 12x plus negative 12x, eliminate, they cancel. 20y plus 6y is 26y. 24 plus 15 would be 39. Now I'm going to simplify. Divide by 26. And y comes out to be a decimal, and that's okay. You can go decimal form if you want. We're going to round to tenths because I like tenths. So we have 39 divided by 26, which is 1.5. If you kept it a fraction, that'd be 3 halves. Now I'm going to take that number and plug it in for y to get my x. I'm going to use the bottom equation just because. So we would have negative 4x plus 2 times 1.5 equals 5. 2 times 1.5, whoops, equals 3. I'm going to subtract 3 to both sides to get negative 4x equals 2. Divide by negative 4, and x equals negative 0.5 or negative 1/2. So these two equations would intersect at negative 0.5, 1.5. Okay, take a second. Try this last one. All right, so did you get A's or Z's to cancel? Kind of as personal preference. Our A's have smaller numbers, but our Z's already have opposite signs. So it just depends which one you want to deal with. I'll go ahead and stick with my opposite signs rule because that's normally what I look for anyway. So if I look at the Z's, I have 6 and negative 7. What can I multiply those by to become the same number? Well, they both go into 42. I could multiply literally by each other. So that's what I'm going to do. They already have the opposite sign, so I don't need to worry about that. So I'm going to multiply the top equation by 7 to get 42, and the bottom equation by 6 to get 42. So on the top, I have 7 times 2, which is 14a, 7 times 6, which is plus 42z, and then 7 times 4, which is equals 28. Now on the bottom one, 6 times 3 would be 18a, 6 times negative 7 is minus 42z, 6 times 6 would be equals 36. Let's go ahead and add these together. So what do we get? We get, let's see, 14 plus 18 would be 32a. 42 minus 42, that cancels, equals, and then down here we get 64 on the other side. So I can go ahead and solve, divide by 32, and a equals 2. Now that I have my a, I'm going to solve for my z. Doesn't matter which equation you choose. I'm going to choose the top one because that has smaller numbers. So I have 2 times my a, which is 2, plus 6z equals 4. 2 times 2 is 4. Bring the rest of the equation down. Subtract that 4 over to get 6z equals 0. Divide by 6, 0 divided by anything is 0, so these two intersect at 2, 0.